Let's go to Washington, D.C. Amelia Brace, you're outside the White House where Donald Trump is about to speak. It's getting a bit tense.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We've just had to run about a block as police moved in. We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go. They're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely.
Oh.
Whoa. Oh.
Amelia, can you hear us?
Amelia, are you okay? Or your cameraman? Hello, Amelia. The police just charged at Amelia and our 7 News cameraman there, and looks like a policeman just punched our cameraman.
Which is interesting because they're not discriminating between protesters and the media here. Amelia, can you hear us yet?
Amelia, are you there?
You heard us.
Are you okay?
Yes, I am. I am. You heard us yelling there that we were media, but they don't care. They are being indiscriminate at the moment. They chased us down that street, and as you see, they were firing these rubber bullets at everyone. There is tear gas, and now we are really surrounded by the police, and you really saw the way that they dealt with my cameraman Tim. They're quite violent, and they do not care who they're targeting at the moment.
Amelia, why are they pushing these protesters back? Where are they trying to push them back to?
This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, guys. So this curfew is set to come into effect in about 26 minutes' time. So the tactic of the forces is that they basically move in this big circle. So all the people get stuck in the middle, and then when that curfew comes into effect, everyone here except us, because we are media, will be effectively breaking the law. So they can be arrested, they can be cleared out of this area, and the goal of police is that we do not see the violence and destruction like we saw last night.
Amelia, how far away from the White House are you where Donald Trump is about to speak in the Rose Garden, and how many people are in this protest group? Oh, there you are now.
I'll just give you a look here, Koshi. We are out the front of the White House. This is very much playing out in Donald Trump's front yards. There are thousands of people here, and the police are here behind us, and they came down the street quite viciously, as you saw there. And that is what they're trying to do. They're trying to build this human barrier to push people away from the White House. They did it last night. Here they come again. We're moving back. We're moving back.
Gee, that is a big protest.
So, Amelia, every few minutes, the police just run as a line with their shields and push people further and further back, corralling them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And we're getting stuck. We're getting stuck amongst that. No, we need to get further back. Okay, we're now up against a fence.
Amelia, we're going to go low and across the street there, okay?
Yeah.
On my shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim is Amelia's cameraman.
Right in the middle of this, guys.
He's just trying to get them out of there by the look of it.
We're getting hit. We're getting hit by rubber bullets now, guys.
Can you try to get to somewhere safe, please, Amelia?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing now, guys. We're trying to get out of this area. Exactly what we're doing.
This is a really interesting tactic.
But look how they are being squeezed. This line, which just to her left there, and one's behind her as well.
Okay, so there's Amelia there. Just talk us through. We're just trying to watch Amelia and Tim as they get out of this crowd.
And there are tear gas everywhere.
And the crowd doesn't seem to be moving, so it's helping them to get through.
And they're being hemmed in as this curfew approaches in 23 minutes. And as Amelia was saying, this is a tactic that they used yesterday as well. They just bunch all the protesters up, and then as soon as the curfew comes into effect at the top of the hour, they then arrest anyone who's been caught in the sort of the pincer movement.
And these protesters don't seem to be bothered by the threat of arrest.
No.
And we are waiting right now, just inside over the fence, inside the White House grounds. We're waiting for Donald Trump to address America and Americans, and this is what's going on right outside his front gates. So what he has to say will be a real turning point for this. This civil unrest across America. There's Amelia there with the backpack, so she looks like she's okay.
Out of
Amelia,
that scrum of protesters.
Can you hear us?
I can speak. Yeah.
Are you okay?
We're out of that. We've been hit by rubber bullets and pepper spray, but we now are out of that main area, and we were trying to move on as the police were asking us to. Obviously, the last thing we ever want is to get in the way. But there was just no opportunity. As you were moving this way, you're hitting more and more protesters, and the police are just pushing up so quickly. We're going to keep moving.
Keep moving.
All right, yeah, keep moving.
Who is there protesting, Amelia? Can you get a sense of what this crowd is made up of? Are they local people from Washington, D.C.? Are they people from interstate?
It's really a mix, guys. I heard a number of people. I heard a number of people here today who said that they'd come to town on Friday or they'd come to town on Saturday, so they really wanted to be a part of this. You can hear those blasts. That's really coming around the corner towards us now. They wanted to be a part of this, and we do so often see that the White House is the focus point for protest, and that's not just under the presidentship of Donald Trump. It's similar to Parliament House in Canberra. It's where people go to have their voices heard. So it's not uncommon for people to come from across the country here to protest, and that's very much what we're seeing here today.
So these are live pictures now from outside the White House, and the police using smoke bombs and these tear gas in there, and these throw down sort of firecracker things. The curfew still has 20 minutes until it comes into place, and the police here obviously not mucking around and starting to really use force against these protesters.
Amelia, do you get a sense that the protests were calm and peaceful up until this minute?
Sorry, I can't quite hear you there, Koshi, but I did hear Sam saying that this curfew's not even in place yet, and that is true. There's still 20 minutes until these people are legally not allowed to be here, and that is what you heard people screaming at police. They were saying, we've still got 20 minutes, we've still got half an hour, and that is true. I was expecting this more to happen at 7, which is what we saw at 11 p.m. last night, but they definitely came in early today, which is exactly why we got caught in the middle.
Up to this moment, Amelia, was the mood quite peaceful for the hours leading up to this?
I think we just lost her. Hear us.
I've still got upbeat.
Yep, let me know when to go.
Re-establish on the phone.
Can you hear us? So we've got people now with hands in the air, so...
Well, just showing that they're not going to be violent at all, and hopefully showing the police that they don't need to be charged. It seemed all quite peaceful up until the police started the line charge.
We're just going to replay, if you're just tuning in, Amelia Brace, one of our US correspondents, is in Washington, D.C. this morning. We're just going to replay what happened to her a few minutes ago right outside the front gates of the White House. Take a look at this.
Tear gas being used. Here we go. They're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely.
Oh.
Whoa. Oh.
Amelia, can you hear us?
Amelia, you like...
We've also seen tear gas being used.
Okay, so that was a military police officer in Washington, D.C., punching our cameraman, which is kind of unusual in these scenarios. Usually they don't do this to the media. They do sort of separate protesters from media usually, but you can see in this scenario they are not taking any prisoners.
Yeah, and when you consider a cameraman has a pretty hefty television camera on their shoulder, they do stand out. There's no uncertainty that is somebody from the media. So they are just indiscriminately charging at protesters, which as Amelia was saying earlier, up until this point was quite peaceful. So remember Donald Trump, though, we're waiting for to speak for the first time in days. The only really public comment he's done today is to the governors of American states, saying they're not tough enough in keeping protesters down. They should be arresting them and trying them and locking them up for an extended period. This is outside his house. So I should imagine that's the message he's sending to local police.
They're bringing in police horses now. Amelia is back with us. Amelia, the horses, this is obviously the second wave of police reinforcements on horseback.
Exactly. So as you'd expect, we're very much trying to get out of the way of that. Apologies about before, I actually had the earpiece knocked out of my ear during that scuffle, so I had to call back in. They are now running towards us again. Down here? All right. We've done our best to get out of the way. We've now found ourselves in the exact same situation. It's almost impossible to escape. Where do we go?
Amelia, where are you heading? Are they trying to push you away from the White House?
We're going to go down here another block and we're going to go across and just get out.
Yes, exactly. But we are now at least a block away from the White House, Sam. But they're just continuing this push, and they're doing it just so quickly. And of course, there are people who are getting back in their face and resisting this push, but there are also people like us who, I'm sure you can hear, I'm running, and they are really catching up to us quickly.
They want you to get somewhere safe.
Yes. Amelia, was this provoked by any actions within the crowd?
Yes, absolutely. It was. It was. Just before this happened, we saw a number of missiles being thrown at that main line of police, which is what you saw charging towards us.
Right.
Things like water bottles. There was quite a few rounds of rubber bullets that rang out into the crowd, but then it was just this full-on push from police towards us.
Okay, Amelia, we'll let you go. You and Tim get somewhere safe, please.
That was our reporter Amelia Brace in the way of a police charge just outside of the White House with the cameraman Tim Myers, who copped a punch by the look of it
Amelia,
from the police.
how are you? How is Tim? Are you guys all right?
Yeah, we're okay. We both copped a few rubber bullets and some tear gas, and Tim got a pretty good punch in the guts, but he handled it quite well and managed to lead me out of there. We're now about 2 blocks from the White House. You can still hear police cars moving everywhere. They've got military vehicles blocking off streets to deter people from heading back that way. Unfortunately for us, our hotel is back that way, so we're just planning to basically keep our distance and hope that they don't come towards us again.
Yeah, they're live shots down the street from you, and protesters, are they starting to move away quickly? Because what is 2 minutes until the curfew comes into force, and Donald Trump was saying that they are going to enforce it strictly from 7 p.m.
Well, this all happened at about 6:30 p.m, which is what many protesters were yelling, that the curfew was not in effect yet. So no one who was there today was in fact breaking the law when police pushed through with that force. But we did see last night that once the curfew came into effect, last night it was at 11 p.m, that the protesters really did dissipate. Unfortunately, that just meant they moved to different parts of the city, and that is really when we saw a number of those fires lit, and we saw a number of buildings and shops being looted. So if anything, it makes the job for police harder, because they have to try to deal with all these little spot fires rather than that one huge protest out the front of the White House.
Yes, from where we were sitting, Amelia, we had 2 things going on. We could see inside the White House where we were waiting for Trump to speak, and see you out the front amongst the protesters, and it was really interesting when they really started to use force and you got caught up in that. Was just obviously they had the message from inside the White House, get these people out of the way, the president is about to speak. Did you feel that? Was there a sense that was going on?
It It did feel like it happened very quickly. It was about 5 past the hour when we got word that Donald Trump would finally be addressing the nation, and immediately the crowd kind of became electrified because of that. And I think in one of my crosses you heard some of the chants take up, really aimed at Donald Trump in the White House, and it did feel that like after that police moved ahead really quickly. As you saw there, they were coming in waves, and last night they would take those huge steps forward and then they would stop, and then they would take another big move forward as the protesters got out of the way. But they did not give people that chance today. They just came screaming forward, as you saw, and unfortunately for us, we were right on that wall, so we got stuck between the National Guard behind us and the police coming round. So we were doing our best to get out of the way, but in the end all we could do was turn around and run, and that's when we were getting hit in the back with those rubber bullets.